I am determined to make sure that no matter how big your definition of success is, that you can achieve it here at LPT Realty, that we can be your partner, we can be your network, we can be your infrastructure to take you to any level of success, right? No matter how small your definition of success is or how big your definition of success is, you can achieve it here at LPT Realty. And that is my commitment to all of you. And that was reinforced to me in so many ways this year as we submitted these numbers to RealTrends.
Each week, Robert and I bring you what's happening inside of the market, what's happening at the brokerage level, and then, of course, giving you some motivation to make it through your week. But just want to put out a quick reminder that we do have an Instagram page where you can catch highlights from the show each week. So, Dave, if you could just put that graphic up real quick for us, if you are interested in following on and just taking some snippets from the show and possibly sharing to your social media, you can scan it right there, or you can just search for it on Instagram. With that being said, I'm going to bring in Robert Palmer, founder and CEO, who I believe has changed geography. Yep, he has. Last time it was mountains, and now he is in South Florida. So he is in Hutchinson Island in Florida here. How are you doing this morning, Robert?
I'm good, man. I got a little sunburn yesterday, like coming off the mountain, and I don't know, I should put on some sunscreen, but have a good time. The girls had a blast. We had a great Easter out here at the beach, and spending a week down here, and then I'll be back in the studio with you next week.
That's right. That is right. Well, I'm happy that you are chasing good weather. I hope that you had a blessed and prosperous Easter weekend. I read an article that basically said that giving was the best gift. And so like when we did our Easter egg hunt, I put like little notes in there that was like wash dad's car. Like I did things that would help them really, get the full gift of that, like make dad breakfast, clean up his clothes, all those things. So we'll see how that works out. How was your Easter egg hunt?
That was good, man. No notes to wash dad's car, but we had a really good time and just, fantastic. Luna absolutely loves Easter, favorite holiday. And so she was like best Easter ever. Had a ball out there. She's she's my Easter baby. That's her favorite holiday.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. There is always one of them. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. I know we've got some industry updates. We've got LPT leaders showing up across all over the industry. Walk us through where we should see some of our leaders.
So first off, Michael Valdez back in the news 2 weeks in a row. So last week we announced that Michael was named to the NAREP, National Association of Hispanic Realtors, for the head of their corporate board of governors. So he's now the chair of the corporate board of governors. Really amazing honor there. And now this week he's been added to the brand new Inman Advisory Board. So Inman has a new CEO who came in. And Michael was added as the first member of the new Inman Advisory Board. Absolutely amazing leader. Michael has been with us about 18 months now, has become part of the family, become like a brother to me, and just really, the impact he's had on our business and a lot of the lives here at LPT has just been absolutely outstanding. Newer addition to the team, Chris Gianos. So for those of you following along, we acquired a company called Humanize, which Chris founded and was the CEO of, and Housing Wire recognized him as a rising star. Probably one of the absolute best in the industry when it comes to team recruiting, team growth. Really proud to have him here as a part of the LPT Holdings family. And then finally, I'm going to be on the Housing Wire Daily podcast Wednesday, April 8th, really going deep on, I guess, the no holds barred analysis of what's going on in our industry. I think I'm one of the CEOs willing to say the things that maybe some of the other ones will not. So we get into all the chaos right now around Compass and Zillow and EXP and preview listings and private listings and just overall my opinions and my unfiltered thoughts on where this industry is going. A lot of you get to hear it every single week here on Motivation Monday, but the rest of the industry maybe doesn't. And so excited to be on that. We'll get some clips and links out as we get closer to that, but that's coming up as well.
Yeah, awesome. Looking forward to that. Congratulations to both of those gentlemen, Michael and both Chris. Excited, one, to be in partnership with them. And, when we were in California, Lewis and I and Michael were all staying together. And one day, midday, this is a very Lewis and I thing, but we decided, hey, we're just going to start to work out. And Valdez just jumped right in with us. And that's when I was like, okay. He is our people. He just he just jumped right in. We just had some dumbbells in the back. I mean, it was fun, man. So just love how accepting he is and how much he adds to every room that he is a part of. So congratulations to those guys. All right, so we are going to walk through some real trends. We've got a couple different sources we're going to be using here. But yeah, walk us through kind of where we are
So
from transaction sides.
So we're getting into what I would call brokerage ranking season, right? So
Yes.
agent and team ranking season happens a little later, but we're getting into brokerage ranking season. And so there's three, I guess, publications who rank real estate brokerages. We have RealTrends, we have Risk Media, and then we have the T360 report. And Risk Media comes out first. They're always the first one to get their rankings out. And last year, they completely left us off. And so we didn't get to celebrate any rankings last year when Risk Media did their announcement because they didn't know about LPT, even though at the time we were the 10th largest brokerage in the US by sides. And so we reached out to them. We said, hey guys, like you missed somebody. We're here. We're fastest growing brokerage ever, made it to top 10 in 3 years. And so this year they did not leave us off. And so we've got their chart. And so they have now ranked the top 10 brokerages by both sides and volume. We are now the number 7 brokerage in the U.S. by transaction count, up from number 10 last year. And again, all three of these rankings pretty much come out with the same results. They just put them out independently. And then we move from number 13 in volume into the top 10. So we're now top 10 for the first time in both sides and volume, number 7 in sides, number 10 in volume. Really proud of that. So again, and we moved the most. Nobody else moved in the top 10. Real moved up 1 slot. We moved up 3 slots in both sides and volume, and then everybody else either stayed the same or had to move down a couple of slots to make room for LPT shooting up the ranks. We've got a fantastic chart of that, so we can throw that up, Davey. This is the top 10 brokerages by sides based on this Risk Media report. We put together this fantastic little chart here. And so as you can see, EXP for now is still number 1 in sides and agent count. Next year, Compass and Anywhere are going to be added together. So because that happened later in January, it's not on this chart, but basically Compass and Anywhere will combine on next year's rankings. That will automatically move us up a slot because it'll clear one out and we'll continue to go. But if you look on here, we are the fastest growing by sides, fastest growing by agents. We'll look into that. So yeah, here, highest percentage of transaction growth. 361% 2-year, 67% 1-year. Dave, if we can sort that by actual results to throw us up at the top there. Next slide. Yeah, so there we go. So this is now sorted by that growth. So you can see LPT's number 1 up there, 361% 2-year growth, 67% 1-year growth. Real comes in second at 168 and 45. So a couple of us cloud brokerages really doing a great job. Compass, because of the acquisition of App Properties, had a 38% 2-year growth, 7% 1 year. And then you can see from there the growth slows, and then there's still some folks shrinking. So down there at the bottom, you can see that Anywhere, EXP, and Home Services of America are both shrinking by agent count on both the 1 year and the 2 year. So really fascinating data here. This is the transaction sides. Let's go on to the next slide. And then we also ranked at the highest percentage of agent count growth, 169% 2 year and 43% 1 year. Yep, let's sort that up. You can see there we again edged out Real. Redfin had pretty good growth in there. Compass, 2 year growth was good. 1 year growth was actually negative. So if you look at that between 2024 and 2025, before Compass acquired Anywhere, they actually had lost some agent counts from 37,000 down to 36,990. And then you can see at the bottom, kind of those same 3 brokerages, Anywhere, EXP, and Home Services of America, all around 14 or 15% 2 year loss in agent count. You can see there, Anywhere peaked at 56,000, they're down to 48. EXP peaked at 74,000, they're down to 63. Home Services of America, 41 down to 34. And then at the top, you can see our little journey there from 7,800 agents in 2023 up to over 21,000 agents last year. So a lot of growth happening here. And Davey, if you have to skip back, but if you can go back to the double wide chart there that we started on. A couple of things I want to point out there. Yeah. So again, EXP's the biggest. We're the fastest growing. And I think what's interesting too, Redfin is by far the most productive, right? So we actually talked about this on Motivational Monday last week or the week before. Redfin agents are averaging 25 transactions a year. I mean, absolutely insane. You can see in there, LPT, we're sitting in the solid fours. The other cloud brokerages, again, a little ahead of us, but they're also 10 years older than us, up in the fives. We're not too far behind anywhere there, but this is the units per full year agent. So looking at agents who are with the brokerage for the entire 12 months, obviously an agent who joins in December doesn't have time to close any transactions. So we look at the full year agent count across the transactions. And again, I'm really proud of where we are. I think what's interesting is if you look at the 100% or transaction fee only brokerages that are on here, United and Fathom, they're both in the twos. And then if you look at the brokerages that don't offer that type of comp plan, they're only on the split, only on the cap model, they're up in the fives. And so I think we've done a really good job of marrying those two models together and actually, again, helping agents be more productive. If you just add together the 100% guys and the cap guys, you get a little lower than we are. All right. And so again, this is the ranking. This is the 10 largest brokerages by transaction count in the U.S. I see a question from Deborah here about Keller Williams. So Keller Williams is not a brokerage. Keller Williams is a franchise network of 1,000 tiny brokerages. And so no individual Keller Williams brokerage is large enough to rank on this list. And so this list only looks at brokerages. Same thing with RE/MAX. So again, we're not comparing ourselves to these franchise organizations that lend their brand to hundreds or thousands of small brokerages. We're looking at companies operating like we are, which is a single brokerage. And so if you look at like Anywhere and even Berkshire Hathaway, this only counts the brokerages the brokerage that they own. So inside of the Anywhere model, inside of the Berkshire Hathaway home services model, there is a really big brokerage that is corporately owned, and that's the one that makes this list. But this does not, it actually does rank the Keller Williams individual brokerages, but they're way down the list. I think the biggest one is the Go Network. Out of kind of the Midwest, and they're probably somewhere in maybe the top 20, top 30. But each brokerage is looked at individually. And again, we're part of this kind of new class of a very fast growing large brokerage operation, which is here to replace that franchise layer. So really proud of all that growth. This is a testament to all of you, right? Your hard work out there, your belief and trust to come take a gamble on this little startup brokerage called LPT Realty, which I appreciate each and every one of you for doing. And then beyond that, I think it's the tools, listing power tools, the things we're doing with LPT Plus, Motivation Monday, our amazing Ascend initiative, training, right? All of that together. So absolutely fantastic. And again, these numbers are independently verified by Risk Media. Right. And then usually what we see is when all three come out, the numbers are all the same because they're all the actual data. And so when RealTrends puts out their brokerage rankings, which I think is coming up next Friday, maybe this Friday, pretty much the same numbers. Because again, everybody's verifying from the same sources, but absolutely proud. The idea that we are just turned 4 years old and we're now the 7th largest brokerage in the United States by transaction count, number 10 by volume. Again, a massive testament to all of you, the hard work you put in, for your clients, the dedication to your craft. And so thankful for all of you. And again, while this particular award is about celebrating all of us together as the LPT family, we're also, like I said, coming up next will be individual agent and team ranking season, which pretty much RealTrends is the only one doing that. I'm not sure why Risk Media and the others haven't gotten into the individual agent and team ranking game yet, but they haven't. And so we talked about this last week. We have now gathered up and submitted our results. Again, they now have to be verified by RealTrends, but really astounding to me, right? So this is the thing I think I'm very proud of. Like, obviously, two things we're really proud of, but this one really stood out to me, and that is our individual agents. And so if you look at us historically, you look at 2024 to 2025, we only had 5 individual agents that we were able to submit for RealTrends back in 2024, which is based on the 2023 numbers, which makes sense, right? As a newer brokerage, it's hard to attract some talent. We had some great folks who came and joined us. And then in 2025, that jumped from 5 to 40. And now this year that I'm really proud that we are submitting over 300 individual agents who qualify for RealTrends rankings. All right, go on to the next slide for me, Dave, because I'm going to be honest here. So this is last year's slide. Go to last year's slide here for me. So last year, our teams jumped from 36 to 110. This is a year ago, right? So this is based on 2-year-old data and 3-year-old data. So for the 2024 submission, we had 36 teams that we were able to submit for RealTrends. Then for the 2025 submission, that jumped to 110. This year it jumped to 200. But I'm gonna be honest with you, last year when we were looking at this slide and we only had 40 individual agents that we were able to submit, and we had 110 teams, right? That didn't feel right to me, right? It's like, hey, are we not serving our individual agents? Are we failing at attracting the best of the best in individual agents? Like we were undoubtedly winning with the big teams, but we really took a deep look and said, all right, are there things we should do differently? Or what can we do? And so if we go back to the other slide, next one here, Dave, I'm really proud this year for that individual agents that were able to submit to RealTrends to jump from 40 all the way to 300 plus. And so really, really proud of that. Big congratulations to all of our solo agents, our individual agents here at LPT who are crushing it in a bad market and who are joining LPT in droves in order to push us up that amazing number, which again, I think if you look at like per total agent count, I got to think we are batting way above our weight with over 300 individual agents being submitted. And we will be going through those exact sides and volumes, but this is the data that we're submitting to RealTrends. So really thankful for all of you. All right. Right, Hodge, like I remember last year, we were like, man, like, what do we need to be doing different here, right? Like, how are we not serving everybody the way we need to? Are we not serving individual definition of success? And I think we dug in and we doubled down on education. You know, we doubled down on the tools. We doubled down on a lot of the training and culture. The Ascend Initiative University, I think, has been a massive part of that, because one of the things we see is a lot of the big teams have their own training baked in, where for, individual agents, we have to bring it with the training. We crushed it with our Ascend Initiative University, climbing up the ranks at Training Magazine, winning outstanding training initiative for Ascend as a whole. But what are your thoughts, man?
I think that you're absolutely right. Like the fact that we were thinking about it and you were thinking about, hey, are we serving everyone at the highest level? Have we got something wrong? I think that's what continues to make LPT so special. That's the question we are always asking. Are we still doing what we set out to do? And if we're not, we course correct. But you're right, to the training, and one thing I'll plug, if you're not joining Real Estate First Fridays, we have a lot of the, top solo agents and a lot of top team leaders on there talking about what they're doing to be successful in today's environment. Like last week, we had Martha Johnson on, who was talking about how she, caters to her price point and all those things. We had Keith Pike, who was actually texting me earlier. We had him a few weeks ago, and he just watched his episode on YouTube, and he's talking about his most productive agents. So, again, the ecosystem is constantly evolving, and it's a place where if you plug into it, you will get the returns out. You just got to plug in. So, excited to be a part of that mission, excited to have something where everybody can win and truthfully achieve their own version of success.
That's it, man. So really, really proud of all our individual agents who are crushing it, who are getting their volume up. And it was a very, very proud moment to assemble that list of names to be able to send it to RealTrends. And then on top of that, we do continue to win with teams as well. And so our overall team count almost doubled this year. Not quite, not the growth we saw in the individual agents that we could submit to RealTrends. But I think what's really outstanding is I talked about this, I don't know, I guess near the end of the year, this idea that we were going to show up on the top 20 real estate teams in the country in a way that no brokerage or even franchise layer had ever shown up before. And so I think maybe you guys pulled that clip and we can play that before we get into this. I think we're going to end up with roughly half of the top 20 teams in the US on RealTrends will be at LPT. Now, that has never even come close to happening before. No single brokerage has had more than 2 or 3, and that was us last year. And then if you look at the entire Keller Williams franchise system, which is a lot of different independent brokerages, they don't even have half. They have a little more than we do, but not a lot. And so going forward, roughly half of the biggest teams in the United States will be at LPT, based on some of these moves that are happening right now.
That was what was the date on that? December 15th. Okay, 2025. Okay. Yeah.
4 months ago. Yeah. 4 months ago. All right. So let's get the slide up. I was really close. So we have 9 teams that are projected to rank in the top 20 when RealTrends comes out this year. So last year it was right at 1,100 transactions was the cutoff to be in the top 20. We still have a chance to pick up that 10th because we know some big teams that fell off, got smaller, maybe became a brokerage and aren't a team anymore. So until we get the final rankings, we don't know for sure. But we used a conservative estimate based on last year's threshold to be in the top 20 based on size. Remember, the market was actually down a little bit. And so these are the 9 teams at LPT right now who are projected to be in the top 20, which gives us just half of the overall top 20. We've got Realty Group up there at 2,700 transactions, Chucktown at 1,800, Elite Alliance at 1,800, Space coming in at 1,500, Big Block 1,400, Military Veteran Team 13, Vibe 1,300, the Cannon Team at 1,200, and Paramount Home Group at 1,155. It is amazing, one, that we have 9 what I call Titan teams, which are teams doing more than 1,000 units a year. Big Block on there is number 1 by volume, right? We're looking at size right now. They're going to be our number 1 team by volume. They'll rank very highly there because they have those beautiful big price points out in California. But really proud of all of these groups. And it is amazing the amount of talent that has come together here. And I think what's interesting is, we saw one of the top 20 teams in the U.S. who was at a cloud brokerage last year on the RealTrends ranking went independent. They left that other cloud brokerage and became an independent brokerage because I think what we're seeing is the other cloud brokerage models start to fail a team at a certain size. And one of my big commitments is, right, individual definition of success. We talk about this and it goes both ways, right? Individual definition of success means if you want to be an agent who does 2 or 3 deals a year because that's your definition of success and you've got other streams of income, or you're a parent who's going to spend time with their kids, like that's one of the beauties of real estate. And LPT is here to help you achieve that definition of success. On the flip side of that, if your definition of success grows to a size where you want to have 1,000 agent team or a 5,000 transaction team or whatever that size is, again, it's our job. It's my job as the CEO of this company in that commitment to individual definition of success to make sure that we don't fail you as you get too big. And so as we designed the LPT model, some of the little things we did, right? Not having a monthly fee, the option for the 100% plan, having aligned economics between the brokerage and the teams, we did that so that we don't start to fail our teams as they get too big. And so when you see at other cloud brokerages, again, when their number 1 team leaves to become an independent brokerage who is in the top 20 last year, to me, that says maybe there's something wrong with the model. Something there is not happening. Something there is not clicking. And so we have teams bigger than that coming to LPT, growing on LPT's rails, thriving at LPT. Again, my commitment to you is no matter what that individual definition of success is, I'm going to make sure that my dreams and my world and LPT's dreams and LPT's world is big enough to support you at any level of growth you want to achieve. Because the last thing we want to do is have someone come here and have a lot of growth and have a lot of success, and then we fail them when they need us the most. We fail them when they start to reach those heights that have never been achieved before. Right? There are very few teams who have ever gotten to 2,000 agents. There are very few teams who have ever gotten to 2,000 units. Very few teams have ever gotten to 1,000 units. No team yet has gotten to 1,000 agents. Again, the commitment to individual definition of success is whether you are an individual agent, doing a couple deals a year or setting the world on fire at hundreds of deals a year, or you are an aspiring team leader who's just getting started and getting your first agents and getting a few deals going and just getting your feet wet, or you are going to build and are building one of the biggest teams in the absolute country in all the United States. LPT is here to help you thrive and succeed. And this is why we purchase companies like Humanize, like Reside. We have other exciting things in the works because I am determined to make sure that no matter how big your definition of success is, that you can achieve it here at LPT Realty, that we can be your partner, we can be your network, we can be your infrastructure to take you to any level of success, right? No matter how small your definition of success is or how big your definition of success is, you can achieve it here at LPT Realty. And that is my commitment to all of you. And that was reinforced to me in so many ways this year. as we submitted these numbers to RealTrends, seeing the explosion in our productive individual agents going to over 300 being submitted, seeing this explosion in the top of the top, almost half of the top 20 teams in the United States now being at LPT Realty, riding this network, riding this infrastructure. That is what creating opportunity is all about. And that's what gets me excited each and every day to lead this company. So thank you all for being a part of that. Thank you for putting our trust in that. And just know that I don't take it lightly. Matt doesn't take it lightly. Michael Valdez, Christiana's, Matt Levy, no one on this executive team takes that lightly. We are here to make sure that we fulfill our commitment to you. And that is that definition of success. That is following your individual definition of success.
That's right. That is right. Okay. So powerful words for us to be thinking about as we go into this week. What I want to know is, okay, we are in Q2. Final words. What are we thinking about as we go into April?
We are continuing to wait for rates to pull it together. Resolution of the conflict in the Middle East is really, I think, what it's going to take to get rates to find some direction right now. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. The idea that there may be a rate hike from the Fed this year. I mean, no one was talking that way 6-8 weeks ago, and now it's potentially on the table. Inflation is going to continue to be the enemy of interest rates. But I'll tell you, I do think we're going to see more home buyers and sellers come off the sideline. We've talked about this a lot. You can only kick the can down the road for so long. And so I think we would be obviously having a better season right now. We would be seeing more transactions if interest rates were lower, but we are seeing consumers come off the sideline. Life has happened. They're tired of kicking the can down the road. They're starting to understand the power of that option, that one-sided instrument that the consumer can always refinance if rates get lower. On the flip side, though, if rates get high like they did, you can hold on to that 2.5 interest rate for as long as you want, although it will pay off in either 15 or 30 years. And that's starting to work against people too. You got to think, if someone took out a really low rate in 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic, they're now on the 6th year of that mortgage, right? If they did a 15-year loan, that balance is already coming down. And the gap between the value of the property and the amount of the mortgage are going in opposite directions. Values continue to go up. Mortgage balances are going down. At some point, that gap gets so wide that it just makes sense to do something. It just makes sense to take action. I want to give you a crazy example to illustrate this, right? Imagine if you had $1 million house with a $10,000 mortgage on it. Even if that $10,000 mortgage had a 1% interest rate, would that impact your decision to stay in that house? And the answer is no. And it's really easy to see in that wild of an example. But what I'm telling you is each and every day, people are getting closer to that number in their brain, right? The house, when they bought it, was worth $500,000 and the mortgage was $400,000. And now all of a sudden the house is worth $700,000 and the mortgage is down to $250,000. Every single month that goes by, as the values go up and the mortgage balances go down, we get closer to that obvious example of a $10,000 mortgage, no matter how low the rate, on $1 million house would not impact our decision making. And so we're heading toward that each and every day. If rates come down, the math gets easier, but we're here to keep doing the hard work. We're going to keep checking in on our sphere. We're going to keep emptying those power packs, holding our open houses, being that consultant, that guiding light for our consumers as they navigate this difficult housing market. And that's why LPT and all of our amazing agents will win. It's because of your dedication to the hard work and our commitment to making sure we empower you to do that work in the best way possible. So make it a great week. Congratulations to everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I want to see those slides on social media. Put them out there. I know that the facts don't necessarily fit with the narratives that are often spun against us, but this is the real truth coming right out of Risk Media. I appreciate each and every one of you. Make it a great week.